Do you want to make the most incredibly tasting kebabs Mediterranean style? For today's cook, I'm going to be making Afghani kebabs. I'm going to use beef. I'm using Neil Sarap's Mediterranean seasoning, which is all ready to go for your Mediterranean style food. You don't need anything else except this one seasoning. We're gonna go and take our meat. This is actually stew meat or Sous Vide Wagyu stew meat that I've pre-seasoned up. I just poured a lot of the seasoning in here, sealed it up as my step number one. Didn't add olive oil, nothing else. You don't need quote unquote binder, just the rub of the meat. We went ahead and shook it up really good, let it sit for maybe 15, 20 minutes. And then we're gonna go out on the smoker and we're gonna cold smoke our meat. Today for cold smoking, I'm using Zenfire coconut charcoal. This is a fantastic charcoal, nice sweet aroma, and added with a barbecue, which is your flavor right here, and I'm using the competition cherry and oak, you will get absolutely mind-blowing flavor on your meat. Ten seconds, it's already lit, you won't see it, it's smokeless, but it's burning. We're gonna put it down and get our smoke going. Nothing but sweet, delicious flavor right there. Now people ask me, well, why don't you just throw that in without any charcoal? Great question. The thing is if you just throw it in there in a big green egg and let it sit, the smoke's gonna sit. It will definitely come out the top with the vents open, but with just a little bit of heat rises, it's gonna get that flow going that I want so that the smoke doesn't sit in there, because you definitely don't want meat just sitting in smoke. You want it to slow roll over the meat, get that incredible flavor. This is absolutely magic. Look at this beautifully marinated kebab meat. Now we're gonna go ahead and put this in our big green egg and get our cold smoking on. That is some incredible, great smelling smoke. We're gonna open the vents, get the flow going. See this right here? You wanna get movement, you don't need a ton of smoke. That amount going through the smoker for 2 hours, absolutely perfect. Oh, this meat smells absolutely delicious. For the sous vide process, you need either a Ziploc bag to use the immersion method, which is squeezing the air out of the bag, zipping it up and letting it sit in the water bath. But if you really want to infuse that meat and get everything pushed inside of that, you're going to want to use a vacuum sealer. Vacuum sealer also takes out all the air and makes sure that that bag sinks to the bottom, and it's going to infuse the meat with any flavors that you put inside the bag. So now that we're ready, you want to make sure you fold the bag down over the edges, like I've already done, so that this area stays dry. If this area gets wet, you're gonna have problems when you go to seal it, because the sealer will not be able to get through the moisture and you may have a leak in your bag, which will cause a problem. Now we're gonna take our meat, put it in the bag, seal it up, and go in the sous vide bath. Now that we have the meat in the bag, we're gonna go ahead and seal it up. Flip the top up. You'll notice that everything's dry on the top of the bag. We're gonna go ahead and spread our meat out a little bit. And we're gonna seal it up. Before we do, we have to add a little bit of wine. Now with this kind of sealer, which is not a chamber sealer, you have to be very careful with liquid. Put too much liquid in, you go to seal it, the liquid will get sucked all up to the top. It'll come out and you'll have a mess. So just a little bit, you're gonna use a gentle vacuum just to get the air out just enough to stop that liquid from coming all the way out to the top. Takes a little practice, but you'll be able to do it. There we go, we've added our liquid in the bag. Just gonna go ahead and get that rub wet. Now we're gonna go ahead and infuse this all together. I hit the manual seal because I could see the liquid coming up to the top and I wanted to avoid that from getting pulled in. So we have a seal time of 3 seconds. You just heard the noise there. I'm gonna go ahead and open this up. And now we have our seal and we're good to go. So the next phase of our cook is gonna be to sous vide our meat. And it's pronounced sous vide, that's with a D, not sous vide. And this is an immersion cooking method where we vacuum seal our meat or any protein. You do fish, chicken, veal, anything you want, you can put it in the sous vide. Based on time and temperature will dictate how well done or how rare or how tender your meat is in many cases. This is one of my favorites for today. I'm using this device. The only negative with this device is you have to have an app on your phone to control it, where with another device like the Nova Pro that has a display, you can control it manually. It's never been a problem. It's hooked up to Wi-Fi, which is great, so if I want to leave, I can monitor this as well, just like I can with a smoker. Now the one thing that's nice about this app is it gives you options for different proteins. You don't have to use them, but this actually has videos that shows you the doneness of everything that you do, so you can determine what the temperature is to set. Absolutely fantastic. So we're gonna go for beef on this. When the beef comes up, you'll get a bunch of recipes. Now I want to do just chuck steak because I know this is pieces of chuck. It's one of the toughest meats, so we're gonna go for chuck. So I'm gonna click the search button on top and I'm gonna type in chuck. And here you see the ultimate grilling chuck. Sounds pretty good. I'm gonna pick that one, and now it's gonna show you chuck steak. And I'm gonna go ahead and set the temperature. It shows this is approximately 24 hours for this cook. It's about right. For chuck steak, it's definitely gonna go overnight. So I'm gonna hit set temperature, and you'll see at the bottom you have an indicator. And I will tell you this indicator is very, very accurate. So we're gonna go on 131, which says our fave, and that means 131 degrees is gonna give us a medium rare kebab, because we're gonna sear it. But what we really care about is what the final temp is here, because we're not really gonna raise the temp that much when we do a super, super hot sear. The great thing about sous vide is you can actually change the texture of the meat and take the same piece of protein and turn it into two different distinct dishes. In this case, we have kebabs, which I'm doing at 131 degrees for 24 hours. It's gonna give us that steak type consistency that's pretty tender. Now, if you wanna go even further, you can go to 160 degrees for up to 36 hours, and you'll turn this into incredible pulled beef. It'll just shred like butter. That's not gonna go good on a skewer, so we wanna make sure that for this cook, we keep it at the 131 for 24 hours. So we're at the 24-hour mark, and we're gonna pull out our Wagyu chuck cubes and take a look and see how tender they really are. Well, let me tell you something. They definitely feel tender, but I don't think they're done yet. Not to my satisfaction of how soft I want them. So we're gonna put them in, we're gonna go for 36 hours. Now this recipe, you can do different temperatures. Some people go up to 150, which really makes a shredded beef. I wanna get filet mignon tender cubes. Now this is vacuum sealed. From what I'm feeling in here, by this meat, it definitely, I mean, it's tender. If I push hard, I probably can get it to come apart. I want it just a little bit more tender, so I'm gonna go for 36 hours at the 131. We can actually up it to 150, but that's gonna cook it a lot quicker, and it's gonna take away that medium rare that we're looking for. So at 130, 131, we're still a medium rare, which is that nice pink inside, and I wanna keep that, so we're just gonna go longer. That's it, 36 hours at 131. You've got that wine, that juice. Do not want to throw that out. So we're going to go ahead and show you how to open this bag up, drain it, round up our kebabs, and we'll be ready to eat. So we're going to take the bowl. We're going to cut the bottom here in the corner. We're going to get all that juice out. So let's take a look and just make a little incision. And sometimes, there we go, the meat will be blocking it up. So just move the meat around and you'll get all that juice to come out in the bowl. Now we're going to go ahead and take our pieces of sous vide Wagyu meat out and dry them off thoroughly for the hot pan sear. Look at that. Oh yeah, this is definitely tender. I don't want to break these apart, but this piece of meat, I mean, look at this. Look at that. I mean, I'm barely pulling it. It's staying where it needs to stay. It's great, but we did a pull test like a brisket. I mean, it's like butter. So we're gonna go ahead and set these out and dry them off on the sheet. A little sheet taste test. Oh, that is melting in your mouth. Now we're gonna go ahead and cover this up and just dry these pieces off. We want to get them as dry as possible before we hit them in the hex-clad pan to get the browning on them and get them ready for serving. So now we're gonna put some extra virgin olive oil in our hex-clad pan. Let this get really super hot. We'll have to turn the fan on, and we're gonna go ahead and brown our meat. The pan's hot. We're gonna go ahead and start browning our meat. Once you set it down, you don't want to move it around. You just want to leave it and get brown. So we're going to let this go only for about 30 seconds on a side. Turn it over, so we're done. Look at that. Our hex-clad pan, absolutely fantastic. So we're going to go ahead and start flipping these over. I'm just going to do front and back. There's no need to do all the sides. You can if you want, but remember, we don't want to overcook the meat. About 15 seconds, and we'll be done on this side. That's it. Now, I love my hex-clad pan. It's non-stick, cleans up easy, and it browns. This gravy that we had out of our sous vide bag on top of this. Just for taste. Let that get all over there. Let's see how it came out. Oh, that was like butter. So, if you want to do a good kebab recipe, use this method, and I guarantee it's going to come out absolutely fantastic every single time. Smoke it on, baby!